Welcome back to another video. I have a mischief of 5 different mice, and today I'm going to go over each one of them and help you decide which mouse is best for you. Now, I did not get these for the RGB lights, so I'm not going to go through the RGB lighting since I know cost is a big factor. At the end of the video, I'll go over each of the costs, and I'll also go over my favorite mouse. So let's go ahead and start with the Razer Basilisk V3X Hyperspeed. The box is relatively heavy duty, so this mouse is pretty protected. In the box we have the mouse itself and the battery, because this mouse does take only AA batteries. You lift up this back flap, which is connected by magnets, and you insert that battery. Then it just clips right back on. So my advice would be getting a pack of rechargeable batteries so you always have a hot swap. So the mouse design is actually really nice. It feels very sturdy, very comfortable. The plastics are more of an ABS-y type plastic without that soft coating, which can be a good thing because that soft coating will not come off over time. Like this mouse, which has that soft coating and it is coming off. It fits nicely in my hand, and I really like this little flap that comes out on the bottom that kind of cradles my thumb. That is something my mouse does not have, which is really cool. And I like the material that they used here for the grip on both sides. Very nice. To connect it to the computer, you have two options. So you have the USB or Bluetooth. And to connect to USB, all you gotta do is take out the Razer USB and plug it into your computer. And that is how you get the Hyperspeed function. This is the back button and this is the front button. And this is just a button that you can assign to anything you would like. The wheel is actually really nice. It has a very nice feel. It does have 5 different DPI settings by just pressing this button. So the comfort on the desk, it feels very nice. It slides nice over my desk, and I don't really have any big complaints. It feels really good. And it does feel better than this mouse here. One big thing with gaming mice is clicking speed. So how fast can you click it, and how does it feel? Does it feel sturdy? Is it comfortable? So this is about as fast as I can click on my Corsair Air. And it feels pretty comfortable and pretty sturdy. And this is on the Razer. And it feels just about the same speed, except it actually feels a bit more sturdy on my hand. So while we're talking about its comfort and its gliding feel, let's do the wiggle test. The wiggle test is basically doing this and seeing where the cursor goes on the screen. And this mouse performs extremely good on the wiggle test. It's very accurate, very precise with its 18K optical movement. Okay, so let's talk about the battery life. It says it can do 535 hours if you're using Bluetooth. That is 22 days, roughly. Now, if you use the USB, it says it will get you 285 hours, and that is roughly 12 days. But the great thing about this mouse is that you can hot swap through batteries if you're into that kind of stuff. So that is a pro. That could also be a con. Next, let's talk about this ergonomic vertical mouse by Seenda. So the box is a very simple box. It's thin, but the cost that they saved with this type of packaging material gave them the ability to give us a braided cable, which is very nice, and that will last longer than its rubber counterpart. It is very unique. The curving feature, the vertical look to it is not too bad. Most people who look at this mouse probably would not know what it is until they got a closer look. It's that odd looking. It takes a USB-C charger, which is very nice. This is able to connect via USB. There it is on the bottom of the mouse, or Bluetooth. And then you can connect up to 3 different computers, swap different computers by just pressing this button. And these are the back and forward buttons. You can game with this. And one of the biggest things that gamers would want to know is how fast can you click it. So let's go ahead and compare it to my Corsair wired mouse. And as you can see, I can click fairly quickly on my Corsair mouse. And on this ergonomic mouse, I can click fast. Not as fast as the Corsair mouse. And one thing I do want to point out is that when I'm clicking, it's hard to grip fully on my right side. So it just doesn't feel nice. And when I'm clicking, you may accidentally click this top one as well. Because, you know, if you're gaming, things can get pretty intense. So time to talk about is comfort. And really, it is very comfortable. It kind of feels like you're shifting a car, if you will. Glides pretty easily. Biggest thing I want to note is that it's so much different compared to the standard mouse, because instead of moving like this, you're moving with your wrist like this instead of your whole arm like this. And this ergonomic feel is really good for carpal tunnel, because let's say if you go on a mouse, I'm gonna grab this mouse, my radial connects here to here and my ulna is here to here. So as I twist, my radial is now coming over my ulna, therefore being in a very unnatural position for my forearm. And that is where you can start to get carpal tunnel if you're on a computer a lot. As you can see, there are 8 different buttons on this mouse. We have 2 right here, 4 right here, 1 here, and 1 here. You can connect it to 3 different devices, and it does have 3 different DPI settings. It doesn't really say on the website, but I'm assuming it's 1000, 16, then 2400. And that's what it kind of feels like. And then you go through the DPI settings by pressing this button. Now time for the budget gaming mouse, and that is this Shunjinrun mouse. It is inserted nicely into this foam with its USB-C cable. Looking at the initial design, I like it. It's nice. It's good for being $18. This black plastic feels nice. The only thing I don't really like is the cheaper plastic chrome on the side. It doesn't feel very nice on the hand. It does have these 2 ridges on both sides. That is actually beneficial when you're gaming and doing things of that nature, when you're sliding around the table a lot. To charge it, has a USB up front. To connect to the computer, there's a USB here on the bottom of the mouse. I'm gonna go ahead and connect it via Bluetooth, which all you gotta do is turn it on. Then it would automatically start searching for your computer. Go on your computer, go on the Bluetooth settings, and then click the mouse, and it automatically connects. It's very easy, very fast. So talking about its comfort and its feel. It slides nice. I can argue it doesn't slide as nice as my Corsair wired mouse, but this is a bit more expensive, and it is also wired. It's kind of hard to get a nice grasp on it because how slender it is down the middle. That is a downfall of sorts, unless you do have smaller hands. So when I grab the mouse, my hand wants to lay kind of like this, and it's already somewhat coming off the mouse. So if they just made this a bit wider, I think that would have been a big pro. Since this is a budget gaming mouse, let's talk about its clicking. How fast can you click it? And I can click it pretty quick. It's not nearly as fast as my Corsair mouse. Since I can't get a fully controlled grip on this mouse, when I'm clicking it and things get a bit intense, hard not to accidentally click the right clicker as well. Let's talk about its features. It has the back button, has the front button, which is pretty standard on most of these mice. Has the front button, which changes the DPI, has 3 different DPI levels, 1000, 1600, and 2400. And this button here, you can connect to 3 different devices by just clicking it and then connecting to a new Bluetooth connection. Let's go ahead and do the mouse wiggle. So for the price, I think it wiggles decent. However, there is drifting as I wiggle it. I've tested it a couple times, it drifted upwards last time, and in this test it's drifting downwards. So the battery life is about 180 days of standby time, which is, I'd say, pretty decent, especially if you have that quick release USB-C plugin that, it's not all that hard to plug it in, then you can just use it as a wired mouse. This is the Logitech MX Master 2S, the 2022 model, and it is beautiful. It comes in the standard Logitech kind of box. Honestly, a bit cramped in this box. The wire is kind of big. It's nice to have a long wire, but the box is a bit cramped in here. The charger is a USB-A to USB-B. But let's talk about the design. The design is, I'd argue, phenomenal. It's amazing. It feels so comfortable in my hand. They said it in the ad, and it's very true. They molded the mouse around a human hand, and it definitely feels like that. In Logitech fashion, it has beautiful design all the way around it. The slopes, the curvature, it looks amazing. And it does a fantastic job at cradling my thumb on the bottom. Very nice size. So how do you connect it to the computer? Well, you could use this USB that came with the box, or connect it via Bluetooth. And to do that, you just turn it on. It'll be on 1 and be flashing 1, like how it is flashing 2. Then you just go to your Bluetooth settings on your computer and connect to the mouse. It's that easy. And this can connect to 3 different devices. So you just gotta press this button to go to the next computer and do the same thing to the other computer. So it glides on this table, so nice and comfortable. I would argue it glides better than my Corsair wired mouse. It feels better, the quality is higher, and it can do more than that mouse as well. So while we're talking about what it can do, let's talk about all its functions. We have a scroller right here that scrolls normally. It does this clicking, scrolling until you roll it hard, then it continues to roll. Or you can press this button where it's always free rolling. On the side, this is the horizontal scroll. So you can scroll left and right, which I'll use in a second on Adobe. This is the back and forward buttons. Then there's a button on the bottom, which brings up the task if you just press it, but it gets better. I can scroll up, I can scroll sideways. Very nice, very convenient. It'd be amazing when editing because I do not like doing this. But if I want to switch desktops, I press this button and I move right. Now I'm on this desktop. I can move back and go up. This brings up the window feature. I can go down. It minimizes all the tabs. But wait, there's more. Grab that USB thing I just showed you, and that's in the box, and it'll prompt you to download this driver. This is the Logi driver. This is the mouse I'm currently using. So we can go through each one of these buttons, let's go on the middle button, and change it to whatever we want it to be. We can do the same thing for this one. We need to talk about the DPI settings. There's no button already on this mouse for DPI settings, so you need to go to pointer speed and adjust it here. So this is 3%, move all the way up to 100, and 100% is 4,000 DPI, which is way too fast for most use cases. And this brings me to the last feature that this mouse has, and that is flow. So let's say that this is my desktop, then I also have my Windows computer right here, and they're separate computers. With this mouse, you can connect flow on both computers and use one mouse at the same time for both computers, and you can even drag and drop files between the computers. And it can be very convenient if you have a work laptop with your home laptop or computer. Before I talk about the con with this mouse, let's go ahead and do a few tests. Let's start with the clicking test. With the Logitech, I can also click pretty fast. This mouse, while I'm clicking, does feel a lot more sturdy, a lot more comfortable. And now the next one with gaming and anything in general is this wobble. It's shaking left to right. It has zero drift. It does a very good job. Shaking as fast as I can here. It's not pinpoint accurate. It could just be down to my hand, but it does a fantastic job. This sensor should be able to work on most anything. So my phone, it's working on my phone, that's great. Arm, easy. The plastic on Grogu, it works. So use case scenario, it will be fantastic for video editing, photo editing, and coding. My friend, he has the Master Series 3 and he uses it for coding. It's not too much different from this one, except it's just a lot more expensive. The battery life on this mouse should last around 70 days. Let's talk about the cons. The USB-A plugin is a huge con for me. Yeah, I don't like it. Now the other con, which is actually a common issue with these mice, is if you press this button and roll it, it rolls in reverse once it's done. And I do have a workaround, so hold on for 1 second. Still scrolling, I'm not even touching it, still going down. And then it scrolls back up. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So underneath scroll wheel, on Smart Shift, it should already be on. This basically tells the mouse when to start free scrolling, the assisted free scrolling. So you can turn it up to 96 and it scrolls free pretty easily. You can put it down to 12 and it doesn't. The cool thing about the assisted feature is that when it's done, it stops. So I like to be at about 71%. And that issue doesn't happen to every Logitech Master 2S series mouse. I'd say this is the quirkiest mouse on this lineup. And this is the ProArc ball mouse. It's got a ball. Pulling the mouse outside the box, and my initial impression is that this is a big mouse. It is, big boy. So the design of the mouse, it is a big mouse. It's kind of pretty, and it does have some pretty decent design features. Has these lines on the back, has the nice glossy ball, 2 buttons on the side, 2 buttons on top, and button on top, which will go through 3 different computers or 3 different devices that you're connected to. To connect it to your computer, you can use that USB, which is on top of the box, or you could just connect it to Bluetooth and just move the cursor with this ball. Nifty idea, nifty design, a lot of people love it. It feels very comfortable in my hand. One thing I do want to point out is that it does have a tilt feature, which is if you do this, you can just tilt it while you're on the desk, which puts your hand in a more ergonomic position, because with this type of mouse, it does have 3 different DPI settings. You can change it by this button right here. It goes from 1000 to 16 to 2400. And with that, let's go ahead and do the mouse wiggle. The mouse wiggle is good and pretty accurate. It is very straight, left and right. However, I cannot go nearly as fast as I would with my standard mouse because my thumb cannot move that quick. The battery life is said to last about a month, and it does use a USB-C charger. So the best use case scenario for this mouse would be anybody who has issues with your forearm, carpal tunnel kind of stuff, and if you're doing long hours of office work. Pretty cool mouse, pretty nifty. The buttons are easy to get to in just one fine swoop. So I can click these 2 buttons, I can click this, I can swap if I wanted to, move around, click, click, click. This changes the RGB on this mouse. I don't ever care about those functions, so that's why I don't talk about them. Or you could just hold it and turn it off. Bam. So starting from the top, the Razer is $69.99, so $70. The Seenda Ergonomic mouse is $27 to $26.98. The super budget mouse is $18.98, the cheapest mouse on this lineup. The Logitech is the same price as the Razer at $69.99, and the ball mouse is $49.99. I will have to say that the Logitech is my favorite on this lineup. It has a lot of great functions, the scrolling, the horizontal scrolls, the fast keys, really cool. The biggest downfall that I just dislike with this mouse is that it doesn't have a USB-C. I guess I can get past that. I'll link all these mice down below for your convenience. Hopefully this led you down the right path of finding your best mouse. And if you want to check out this nifty laptop stand, which has a USB-C docking station on it, check out this video. This is Chris. I always appreciate and respect one another. I'll see you next time.